Ever wondered why a single bug can crash your entire computer? Or how your phone manages dozens of apps at once without breaking a sweat? Mastery of operating systems is what separates a coder from a true engineer. In this video, we will cover operating system interview questions and answers, OS concepts for technical interviews. Master operating system fundamentals with this comprehensive guide featuring 30 high-yield MCQs. In this video, we dive deep into 30 essential operating system interview questions covering process management, memory allocation, file systems, and concurrency to ensure you are ready for your next technical round. Before we jump into the first question, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more technical interview prep. Which of the following transitions is not possible in a typical process state transition diagram? Option A, ready to running. Option B, running to ready. Option C, blocked to running. Option D, running to blocked. The correct answer is C. In a standard process model, a process can move from ready to running when it is dispatched by the scheduler. It can move from running to ready if it is preempted. E.g., time slice expires. It can move from running to blocked if it waits for an I/O event. However, a process cannot go directly from blocked to running. It must first move to the ready queue after the I/O event completes, where it waits for the scheduler to pick it for execution. In the context of paging, what is Belady's anomaly? Option A. The page fault rate increases as the number of page frames increases. Option B. The page fault rate decreases as the number of page frames increases. Option C. The system performance degrades due to excessive swapping. Option D. The CPU utilization drops when more processes are added. The correct answer is A. Belady's anomaly is a counterintuitive phenomenon where increasing the number of page frames results in an increase in the number of page faults for certain access patterns. This is specifically observed in the first-in first-out (FIFO) page replacement algorithm. Most other algorithms, like LRU, least recently used, do not suffer from this because they belong to a class of stack algorithms, where the set of pages in a frame size n is always a subset of pages in frame size n+1. Which of the following is not one of the four necessary conditions for a deadlock to occur? Option A, mutual exclusion. Option B, hold and wait. Option C, preemption. Option D, circular wait. The correct answer is C. The four Kaufman conditions necessary for a deadlock are: 1. Mutual exclusion. Non-shareable resources. 2. Hold and wait. A process holds one resource while waiting for another. 3. No preemption. Resources cannot be forcibly taken away. And 4. Circular wait. A closed chain of processes waiting for each other. Preemption is actually a strategy to prevent deadlock, not a condition that causes it. The actual condition is no preemption. Which scheduling algorithm is most likely to result in convoy effect? Option A, round robin. Option B, shortest job first, SJF. Option C, first come, first served, FCFS. Option D, priority scheduling. The correct answer is C. The convoy effect occurs in FCFS scheduling when a CPU-bound process, a long process, gets to the CPU first. All other shorter processes, usually I/O bound, must wait behind this long process to get CPU time. This leads to poor utilization of I/O devices and the CPU, as shorter processes are blocked waiting for the single long process to finish or block for I/O. Round robin prevents this through time slicing. A binary semaphore used to provide mutual exclusion is often called a Option A, monitor. Option B, mutex. Option C, condition variable. Option D, critical section. The correct answer is B. A mutex, mutual exclusion object, is essentially a binary semaphore. While they are conceptually similar, a mutex often has additional properties like ownership, only the thread that locked it can unlock it, and priority inheritance to prevent priority inversion. Semaphores are more general signaling mechanisms. But when a semaphore is restricted to values 0 and 1 for the purpose of protecting a shared resource, it functions as a mutex. Internal fragmentation is a common problem in which of the following memory management schemes? Option A, paging. Option B, segmentation. Option C, pure segmentation. Option D, dynamic partitioning. The correct answer is A. Internal fragmentation occurs when memory is allocated in fixed-sized blocks. In paging, memory is divided into fixed-size pages. If a process requires 10.5 pages, it is allocated 11 pages. The remaining 0.5 page of space inside the 11th page cannot be used by other processes, resulting in internal fragmentation. Segmentation, which uses variable-sized segments, usually suffers from external fragmentation instead. In a Unix-like file system, an inode stores all of the following except Option A, file permissions. Option B, file owner. Option C, file name. Option D, file size. The correct answer is C. An inode, index node, is a data structure that stores metadata about a file, such as its size, owner, permissions, and pointers to data blocks on the disk. Interestingly, the file name is not stored in the inode itself. File names are stored in directory files, which map names to specific inode numbers. This design allows for hard links, where multiple names can point to the same inode, and thus the same physical file data. Which disk scheduling algorithm is often referred to as the elevator algorithm? Option A, FCFS. Option B, SSTF, shortest seek time first. Option C, scan. Option D, CLOOK. The correct answer is C. The scan algorithm is called the elevator algorithm because it behaves like an elevator in a building. The disk arm starts at one end of the disk and moves toward the other end, servicing requests as it reaches each cylinder, until it gets to the other end. Then, the direction of the head movement is reversed, and servicing continues. This prevents starvation and provides a more uniform wait time compared to SSTF. What is the primary role of the PCB, process control block? Option A, to store the code of the process. Option B, to act as a data structure that contains information about a process. Option C, to manage the hardware interrupts. Option D, to allocate memory to the process. The correct answer is B. The PCB is a data structure in the operating system kernel that contains the information needed to manage a particular process. This includes the process state, program counter, CPU registers, CPU scheduling information, memory management information, accounting information, and I/O status information. When a context switch occurs, the OS saves the state of the running process into its PCB and loads the state of the next process from its respective PCB. What happens during thrashing in an operating system? Option A. The CPU spends more time executing processes than swapping. Option B. The CPU utilization increases as more processes are admitted. Option C. The system spends more time swapping pages in and out than executing instructions. Option D. A process is terminated due to insufficient memory. The correct answer is C. Thrashing occurs when the operating system spends a significant portion of its time on paging, swapping pages between RAM and disk, rather than executing actual application code. This usually happens when the total working set of all active processes exceeds the available physical RAM. As a result, every time a process runs, it immediately hits a page fault, forcing the OS to swap, which in turn causes another process to fault, leading to a collapse in system throughput. The banker's algorithm is primarily used for Option A. Deadlock prevention. Option B. Deadlock avoidance. Option C. Deadlock detection. Option D. Deadlock recovery. The correct answer is B. The banker's algorithm is a deadlock avoidance algorithm. It works by simulating the allocation of resources for every request made by a process. It checks if granting the request would lead to an unsafe state, a state where there's no sequence of process completions that guarantees no deadlock. If the state is unsafe, the request is denied or delayed. It requires prior knowledge of the maximum resources each process may claim. In a microkernel architecture, which of the following typically runs in kernel mode? Option A. File system. Option B. Device drivers. Option C. Inter-process communication. IPC. Option D. Network protocols. The correct answer is C. A microkernel aims to minimize the code running in the high-privilege kernel mode. Most services that are traditionally in the kernel, like file systems, device drivers, and network stacks, are moved to user space. The microkernel itself usually only handles essential functions: low-level memory management, thread management, and inter-process communication. IPC. IPC is crucial because user space services must communicate with each other through the kernel. Which scheduling algorithm is non-preemptive by definition? Option A. Round robin. Option B. FCFS. Option C. SRTF. Shortest remaining time first. Option D. Multi-level feedback queue. The correct answer is B. First come, first served. FCFS is a non-preemptive algorithm because once a process is allocated the CPU, it keeps the CPU until it either terminates or requests I/O. Round robin is preemptive by nature, using time slices. SRTF is the preemptive version of shortest job first. Multi-level feedback queues are also preemptive, to allow higher priority or I/O-bound tasks to interrupt lower priority CPU-bound tasks. The translation look-aside buffer, TLB, is used to Option A. Store the entire page table in high-speed memory. Option B. Cache recently used page table entries to speed up address translation. Option C. Manage the swapping of pages to the hard drive. Option D. Prevent unauthorized access to memory segments. The correct answer is B. The TLB is a specialized hardware cache used by the Memory Management Unit. MMU. Address translation in a paging system requires looking up page table entries. PTEs. Stored in main memory. Accessing main memory is slow. The TLB stores a small number of these PTEs. The most recently used ones. If the required translation is in the TLB, a TLB hit, the translation happens almost instantly. If not, a TLB miss, the system must perform the slower lookup in the main page table. What is a zombie process in Unix-like systems? Option A. A process that has been terminated but still has an entry in the process table. Option B. A process that is stuck in an infinite loop. Option C. A process that consumes 100% of the CPU. Option D. A process that has no parent. The correct answer is A. A zombie process, or defunct process, is a process that has completed execution via the exit system call, but still has an entry in the process table. This entry is maintained so that the parent process can read the child's exit status using the wait system call. Once the parent calls wait, the zombie process is completely removed. If the parent fails to call wait, the zombie stays in the system, potentially wasting process ID, PID, slots. Which I/O technique allows a device to transfer data directly to or from main memory without constant CPU intervention? Option A. Programmed I/O. Option B. Interrupt-driven I/O. Option C. Direct memory access, DMA. Option D. Polled I/O. The correct answer is C. Direct memory access, DMA, is a feature of modern computers that allows certain hardware subsystems to access main system memory independently of the central processing unit, CPU, without DMA. When using programmed I/O, the CPU is typically fully occupied for the entire duration of the read or write operation, and is thus unavailable to perform other work. With DMA, the CPU initiates the transfer, does other work while the transfer is in progress, and receives an interrupt from the DMA controller when the operation is done. Which of the following is shared between threads of the same process? Option A. Stack. Option B. Registers. Option C. Address space. Option D. Program counter. The correct answer is C. Threads within the same process share the process's resources, including the address space, code and data segments, open files, and signals. However, each thread has its own private set of registers, stack, for local variables and function calls, and program counter, to keep track of which instruction it is executing. This shared address space allows threads to communicate easily but also necessitates synchronization, like mutexes, to prevent data races. The dining philosopher's problem is a classic example used to illustrate. Option A. Producer-consumer issues. Option B. Resource allocation and deadlock. Option C. Memory fragmentation. Option D. CPU scheduling priority. The correct answer is B. The dining philosopher's problem describes philosophers sitting at a round table with one chopstick between each pair. To eat, a philosopher needs two chopsticks. This problem illustrates the challenges of resource allocation in a concurrent environment. Specifically, how to avoid deadlock, where everyone picks up one chopstick and waits forever for the second, and starvation, where a philosopher can never get both chopsticks. Which file allocation method suffers from external fragmentation? Option A. Contiguous allocation. Option B. Linked allocation. Option C. Indexed allocation. Option D. FAT. File allocation table. The correct answer is A. In contiguous allocation, each file occupies a set of contiguous blocks on the disk. While this is fast for sequential access, it leads to external fragmentation as files are created and deleted, leaving small gaps of free space that might be too small for new files. Linked and indexed allocation methods avoid this by allowing files to be scattered across non-contiguous blocks on the disk. What is the primary difference between a system call and a library function? Option A. System calls are faster than library functions. Option B. System calls provide an interface to the kernel, while library functions run in user space. Option C. Library functions can only be written in C. Option D. System calls do not require a context switch. The correct answer is B. A system call is a request made by a user space application to the OS kernel to perform a task, like reading a file or creating a process. This involves a trap or context switch into kernel mode. A library function, like "printf" or "starlen", is a pre-written function provided by a programming language or framework. Many library functions eventually call a system call, e.g., "printf" calls the "write" system call, but the library function itself runs in user space. In the LRU, least recently used page replacement algorithm, which page is selected for replacement? Option A. The page that was brought into memory first. Option B. The page that has not been used for the longest period of time. Option C. The page that is used least frequently. Option D. The page that will not be used for the longest time in the future. The correct answer is B. LRU is based on the principle of temporal locality. It assumes that pages used recently will likely be used again soon. Therefore, when a page needs to be replaced, it picks the page that has the oldest timestamp of last access, the one that hasn't been used for the longest time. Option D describes the optimal algorithm, and option C describes LFU, least frequently used. A trap is a type of interrupt that is generated by Option A. An I/O device hardware error. Option B. The user pressing a key on the keyboard. Option C. Software, either due to an error or a specific request. Option D. A timer expiring in the CPU. The correct answer is C. A trap, also known as an exception or software interrupt, is a synchronous interrupt caused by software. This can happen because of an error, like division by zero or invalid memory access. or because a program explicitly requests an OS service through a system call. This is distinct from hardware interrupts, which are asynchronous and triggered by external hardware devices like disks or keyboards. What is the aging technique used for in-scheduling? Option A. To decrease the priority of long-running processes. Option B. To increase the priority of processes that wait in the system for a long time. Option C. To remove old processes from the process table. Option D. To speed up the execution of high-priority tasks. The correct answer is B. Aging is a technique used to solve the problem of starvation in priority-based scheduling. In a strict priority system, low-priority processes might never get to run if there is a constant stream of high-priority processes. Aging gradually increases the priority of processes that have been waiting in the ready queue for a long time, ensuring they eventually get a chance to execute. Which of the following is an advantage of segmentation over paging? Option A. It eliminates internal fragmentation. Option B. It is easier to implement in hardware. Option C. It eliminates external fragmentation. Option D. It uses fixed size blocks for easier management. The correct answer is A. Segmentation allocates memory in variable-sized blocks based on the logical divisions of a program, e.g., code, data, stack. Because segments are sized exactly to what is needed, there is no internal fragmentation, wasted space within the allocated block. However, it introduces external fragmentation, holes between segments. Paging, conversely, eliminates external fragmentation but suffers from internal fragmentation. In the context of RAID, which level provides mirroring only? Option A, RAID 0. Option B, RAID 1. Option C, RAID 5. Option D, RAID 10. The correct answer is B. RAID 1 is purely mirroring. Data is written identically to two or more drives. If one drive fails, the data is still available on the other. RAID 0 is striping, no redundancy. RAID 5 uses striping with parity. RAID 10 is a combination of mirroring and striping. The critical section problem refers to Option A. The part of the OS that manages interrupts. Option B. A segment of code where shared resources are accessed. Option C. The time it takes to perform a context switch. Option D. The area of memory where the kernel resides. The correct answer is B. The critical section is a part of a program where a process accesses a shared resource, like a global variable or a file, that must not be accessed by more than one process at the same time. The critical section problem is to design a protocol, like using semaphores or mutexes, that ensures mutual exclusion, progress, and bounded waiting. Which of the following is the core of the operating system? Option A, shell. Option B, GUI. Option C, kernel. Option D, compiler. The correct answer is C. The kernel is the heart of the operating system. It is the first program loaded on startup, after the bootloader, and handles all the fundamental tasks, managing the CPU, memory, and hardware devices, and providing the interface for applications to interact with the hardware. The shell is just a user interface to the kernel. What is the purpose of the dirty bit in a page table entry? Option A. To indicate that the page is currently in RAM. Option B. To indicate that the page has been modified since it was loaded. Option C. To prevent unauthorized writing to the page. Option D. To mark the page for immediate deletion. The correct answer is B. The dirty bit, or modify bit, is used in virtual memory systems when a page in RAM is modified. Its dirty bit is set to 1. When that page needs to be replaced, the OS checks this bit. If it's O, clean, the page hasn't changed, so it can just be overwritten. If it's 1, dirty, the OS must write the page back to the disk before replacing it to ensure the changes are not lost. Which system call is used to create a new process in Unix? Option A, create. Option B, new. Option C, fork. Option D, spawn. The correct answer is C. In Unix, Linux, fork, is the primary system call for process creation. It creates an exact duplicate of the calling process. The parent, including the file descriptors and memory state. After fork, both processes continue execution from the point of the call. The parent receives the child's PID as the return value, while the child receives 0. Which of the following is a drawback of the shortest job first (SJF) scheduling algorithm? Option A. It has high average waiting time. Option B. It is difficult to know the length of the next CPU burst in advance. Option C. It causes frequent context switches. Option D. It is only applicable to I/O-bound processes. The correct answer is B. While SJF is theoretically optimal for minimizing average waiting time, its main practical drawback is that the operating system usually doesn't know exactly how long a process's next CPU burst will last. Estimates are often made based on past behavior, using exponential averaging, but it's rarely 100% accurate. That wraps up our 30 essential operating system interview questions. We've covered everything from basic process states to complex memory management and deadlock conditions. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up and comment below which topic you want us to cover next. For the full practice exam and certification prep, check the link in the description below.